and welcome back to Dice and Mics. We're a bunch of people who roll dice, talking to some microphones. Today we are joined by Duke of none other than One Shot Questers. How you doing today, Duke?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I imagine you have got a lot on your plate, so we hopefully won't take up too much of your time.
It's fine. You're good.
Excellent. All right. Well, first of all, I wanted to welcome you and thank you for agreeing to come and join. A small channel like mine. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem.
It's incredible to have someone like you on the podcast interviews type thing before. And I got a couple of questions for you today, and I would like to get started. First things first. So, since we have the new 2024 rules and everything, and everyone's making a lot of content about it, you and myself included, have you actually played with the new 2024 rules yet?
I am getting there. So right now, the hard part for me is finding a group. I make a bunch of D&D content, but I don't have. Yeah, I just don't have a group to play with right now,
Okay.
and so that's been kind of the difficult part. But I've just been introduced to solo campaigns, and so I'm going to shoot my shot with solo campaigns and see how that goes using the new 2024 rule books. I'm not sure how much they're going to work because, from how it looks, solo games are it's one of those choose your own adventures. All right, this is what happens. Do you want to do this or this? Okay, if you go here, go to 80, prompt 87. All right, you doing this? All right, go to prompt 15. So that's kind of what solo games are. And so I'm trying that out, and I'm going to use the new rule books, but I have one of my friends moving into one of our spare bedrooms to help out with the channel. And so hopefully we'll do at least one-on-one sessions and we'll be able to use the new player's handbook. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited. I've played with the someone said it in the best way. I'm tired of playing with the old toys. I'm excited to play with the new toys.
Yeah.
So
I think that was another creator, wasn't it? Because I've heard that. I've heard that one before.
It might have been Pony Hat.
Okay. I was like, I've heard that statement somewhere. I don't know where, but I think I've heard it before.
Right, yeah.
That's interesting. You mentioned doing solo campaigns. Is that effectively like you get a book and you can just use whatever system you want in it?
I mean, probably. Right now I found I just have a PDF right now.
Okay.
And that PDF is just telling me hey, here's the first chapter. Hey, here's what's going on. This is what you're going to need, and it will go through and say, well, I'll give one of the prompts here if I can find one. It's like prompt number 3. As you approach, she looks up and meets your eye as she immediately starts to collect her gear. Looking for something, roll intelligence, arcana check. If you get a 15 or more, go to 35. 34.
Okay.
If you get a less than 15, go to 57.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of tailor-made to D&D 5e.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Interesting. Okay, I didn't know anything like that existed, but it makes sense that something like that does exist. It does feel like it's probably incredibly limiting and railroady in a feeling.
Oh yeah, to be able to do it, it is. But it's oh cool. I get to still play D&D, roll dice.
Yeah, true.
I want to. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That also reminds me, you've probably mentioned this in a previous video or live stream, but I've since forgotten. Do you primarily, when you have been playing D&D in the past, do you primarily act as a player or a dungeon master?
When it's for my channel, I am strictly the dungeon master because I know the beats that I need to hit. I know when I have to keep things moving forward. I know when I have to switch things up to keep the story interesting and people hooked. But when I am usually off game or off the channel, most of the time I'm actually a player, and that's very, very nice.
Okay. Do you enjoy being a player more than a DM then?
No, I enjoy being a dungeon master more because with my ADHD, I'm just always needed to focus on something. And when I'm a dungeon master, I'm constantly focused. I'm constantly focused on what's happening in the game, what the players are saying, yada, yada, yada. When I'm a player, sometimes it may take 15 to 20 minutes before you do anything again. And during that time, I'm zoned out. And it may be an important storyline that... Oh, sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. I may have important storyline that happens that I'm just not there because I checked myself out because I'm not focused or like I'm not a part of it in any way.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I enjoy being the dungeon master a lot.
Okay. Fair enough. Um,
Mhm.
you mentioned, so you're not playing in any campaigns right now, except for
No.
like just kind of like the little solo ones with your PDF. You said you have
Mhm.
somebody moving in, and you're gonna do like D&D duets with them. Would
Yeah.
they be the DM then, or would you be?
No, I would. I would.
Okay.
Again, my channel, I want to make like I know what makes a good video. I know what story beats I need to tell. I need to know,
Oh,
I
this
know
would be
what
for
I need
content.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be for content. Like
Okay.
this is for my channel.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Gotcha. I missed that part. I thought it was just like for yourself kind of D&D duets. Gotcha.
I wish.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. I think you're probably the first person I've talked to that's not actively like in any games at the moment. Which seems,
It sucks when you move away from all of your friends.
yeah, I imagine. I've actually had to come to terms with that a couple of times because I've thought about moving and then I've been like, I have 7 people I play D&D with. That's going to be a lot of uproar. So, and I DM for all of them. So it's like if I move, the whole thing goes. So,
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, I could fully understand that. In the similar vein, so I saw one of your live streams recently where you were talking about all the future ideas you had for content and everything with live shows and skits and everything like that. And what amazed me is that you seem like you have like the truck is pedal to the metal, full bore with content ideas and everything you want to do. How are you planning on doing all of that while also having a kid? That blows my mind.
So, so my wife and I, we are very blessed to be both self-employed. So she's a recreational therapist, and she does she does contracting. So she'll get certain clients. She'll say yes to no to the ones that she wants or doesn't want, and then she will set the times with them. And that's kind of how it works. And so Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are days where I'm not solely focused on our baby girl. Okay. And I'm able to, be down here and work and whatnot. But then Tuesdays and Thursdays, she's meeting with clients that need a little bit more like physical need help. And so my wife is needing to like hold them up, carry them, things like that. So I'm watching my baby girl Tuesdays and Thursdays a lot of the time.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
yeah, so we're able to get a lot done, and I'm grateful for my my editor right now, Jakin. He has been a huge help because he is the one editing almost every single video at the moment, and I would not be able to get any of that done, plus all this other stuff that I want to do, plus being a dad without his help. It's like, okay, cool, like I am the creative brain here, and I need to outsource what we just made to someone else to get that done, and that's what he has been doing for the past, year and a half, and it's been amazing. And then my friend who's coming to live with us to help out with the channel, he's also an editor, and so I'm gonna have another person in-house helping with a lot of things. So when I have, if it's Tuesdays and Thursdays and I'm watching, my baby girl, I could tell my friend to be like, hey, I need you to go downstairs, I need you to get this set up. Once I put her down, we're gonna start filming, and then when she's done, I need you to take everything down. I need you to start editing. So it's very, very helpful to have them all here and to accomplish this. So I'm very grateful for all of them.
I can imagine. It also sounds like it sounds incredibly helpful. It also sounds quite hectic. From me on the outside looking in, it sounds very hectic.
It is, but I choose that.
Fair.
Like I choose that
Absolutely.
life. Like I enjoy just making content. I enjoy the thrill of writing, filming, editing, and posting. Like I hate where I have to batch a bunch of content and then, just have to space them out. We're doing the 5th edition series right now, the 5th edition versus like 2014 versus 2024 5th edition series. And we have all the classes done up to the Ranger at this point. But
and you've only posted one so far.
Yeah, we've already posted one. And
wow.
So all the way Ranger's done. We just filmed Rogue and Sorcerer the other day, and now it's just Warlock and Wizard. And then after that, it's like filming for that's all done. But, be on the safe side and not, screw ourselves over. it's like, all right, we need something to post every single week as we're trying to get these new things up. And so we'll post 2014 versus 2024 5th edition series out every weekend, and then that's going to cover us literally to the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel the need to post something else alongside it for monetary reasons or creative reasons?
That's a good question.
Because you by all means, you could take the time and just make those uploads and not do anything in between. So that's why I wonder is like, is it because you creatively want to put out more content, or because you want to meet a minimum threshold for, so you can pay your editors and, have a roof over your head?
Yeah, well, one of it is that, like, I need to be posting, like, I need to get a minimum amount of things out so, I can pay the mortgage and pay my employees and make sure they're happy and they're not stressing. And so there's that. And so that's why it's like, hey, we need to space everything out. That way it's not like we have a really, really good month and then nothing else happens for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just have to be safe about it, and we have to play it smart. So that's why we're taking our time with a lot of things. Also, a lot of it has been coming down to like short form content.
Mm-hmm.
My short form content has just been really blowing up recently. I found this like really good series, Vicious Mockery, and that's been just a ton of fun to make. Yeah. And it's been doing very well. It's been bringing a lot of views, been bringing a lot of attention. And so that's the thing that's actually keeping the channel afloat pretty well. And then the main channel, One Shot Questers, is kind of in this limbo because with everything just happening around Dungeons and Dragons, it just the community is so split on how they want to feel about it that it's just.
But on that note, so you mentioned that your shorts are doing very, very well and have been blowing up recently.
Yes.
From my understanding, shorts have kind of always been your bread and butter since the get-go, and starting out on TikTok and everything. And most people that like blow up on TikTok or even just on YouTube Shorts will tend to do shorts first because they get a lot of views and everything rapidly, and you get a lot of popularity rapidly, but the monetary value is nowhere near in comparison. So they'll switch to long form content to make up for that value. But you've been saying that your short term content is still going well, and I'm curious how I don't know if this is something that's has a lot of weight to it, but you post a lot of comedic shorts both on TikTok and your shorts content on your channel, but then you also post like 1 to 2 minute comedic D&D videos in regular 1980 1020. Do you feel that any of those videos could have been shorts instead of 1 to 2 minute videos, or do you feel and if that's the case, what makes you decide to make them as shorts versus 1 to 2 minute videos, or 1 to 2 minute videos versus shorts?
That's a good question. So, as I was, rudely interrupting you, because that is something that we've been talking about with the team for a while, and it's just. Yeah, the short form has always been my bread and butter. Like, that's what I am known for, and I didn't want to lean into that because growing up, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. Always wanted to be a YouTuber, okay? And growing up around, when YouTube first started to, I want to say probably 2018, 2019, is like, you had your typical YouTubers who would post things. It would be like their one thing that they would do, and that's all they would do. I wanted to be that, and so I wanted to do sketch comedy, and I finally found a niche that I was I got noticed in, and that was Dungeons and Dragons. And so I started making short form content for shorts or TikTok when it first started, because everywhere else wasn't doing the short form stuff. And then I was making short sketches on YouTube. And it was all going very, very well. And then everyone started introducing short form content. Everyone started doing the vertical stuff. And all of a sudden now everyone's competing and everyone's pushing out the short form stuff. Well, I still feel like I am one of the top D&D short form creators, mainly because my content can survive on any platform. So, and that is huge. There's a lot of D&D creators who are on TikTok that do very well on TikTok, but when they move anywhere else, they just do not get the same amount of views, and
Yeah.
they struggle with it.
I was going to bring that up later after
Yeah.
this, because I was like, you
Yeah,
are one
yeah.
of the very few that have blown up on TikTok making short form, but was able to then take that popularity
Yeah.
and transform it and still grow, where most people
Yeah.
just can't do that.
Yeah. So and going back to, I guess, with your question, where do I start making short form content? Like, when I make these jokes, like, when do I consider it being short, like a short form video compared to a long form video?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I stop and think to myself, like, all right, here's the joke I have in mind. Can I tell this in 30 seconds? Yep. All right. It's a short.
Okay.
It's just going to do better. Like that's how I go about it. But if it's like, the 5th edition series that we're doing right now, it's like there's a lot of details that are in that. Yeah, that needs to be a long form video. But if I just have a joke that I want to say, it's going to be a short form video. And it's like, I can guarantee that video is going to get 500,000 views on YouTube Shorts. And then everywhere else is, kind of a bonus. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, cool. This video got like 3 million views across like all different platforms, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So it's mainly just like, if you can condense it below a minute, then you just automatically put it as a short.
Yeah, pretty much, because that's the smart thing, and I've said that multiple times to my team as well. It is like, we put out some of these long form or these like shorter form sketches, and it doesn't do that well. Like, the sketches used to do very, very well before all the short form, the vertical content was coming out on every single platform. My short form stuff was doing very, very well. But then once that happened, all platforms was like, okay, if you're doing stuff with like under 2 minutes, they need to go into like the shorts category.
Okay.
And you need to keep like things longer, like 10 minutes or longer. That's what we're going to push out.
Okay.
And so that hurt. And then the OGL thing happened. And then everything happening with this new edition launch, it's just like, oh, just bam, 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 bam. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Yep. I will say,
So anyway.
on that note, I don't know if proud's the word but I am very happy to see a D&D content creator who focuses on not covering drama stuff and everything, because as we all know, when it comes to like, any type of content, doesn't matter if it's D&D, but drama always gets views, it always sells, and it always gets clicks. So a lot of people can make that content, and it's easy to make, which makes it worse, because it's going to get clicks and it's easy to make it. But it's really nice and refreshing to see content creators like yourself who are like, they'll acknowledge that drama is going on, like they're not immune to it or anything, but they're focused on, all right, let's be happy, let's be positive, let's make people laugh, and let's work on actual like comedic content versus reacting to OGL 0.7 update, what happened now, 27 minutes out of one Twitter post. So it's very nice to see something like that. I do question, though, because a lot of content creators will say that the only reason they make content like that is because it's easy views and because it guarantees them an income. Has that ever conflicted with your idea for content, where it's like, I could make this video that I really want to make and it will be fun to make, or I could make this video which will likely get more views, more money, but won't be as fun? Do you have that conflict, and if so, how often?
When everything was first going on, that was a pretty big mindset I had, unfortunately, because that's what everyone wanted to hear. That's what everyone was posting. That's what the communities wanted to see, because everyone was like, wait, what the crap is going on? So I jumped on that I jumped on that bandwagon a couple of times, and every time I did not feel good about it, because I was just throwing more fuel into the fire that didn't need. And one of the things I always set out with my channel has been, I have always just wanted to make content and make people forget about what's going on around them. And when I jump into the drama and things like that, that's my goal is thrown out the window, because I'm adding more fuel to the fire. Yeah, it could be funny, and sometimes it is fun to just do videos like that, like poke fun at WotC and Hasbro with what they're doing. But right now, if you do it, it's very much, you're adding more fuel to that fire that does, like, it's already a wildfire. We
Yeah.
don't need more stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of what's going on at the moment. But when it comes to content, like the best way I can put it is I look at myself as a content creator. I don't look at myself as an influencer. There's a very distinct reaction between that, or a different distinct definition between that.
Yep.
An influencer is someone who's going out there to influence how you should feel about something.
Yep.
Or just pretty much. For me, it's like, yeah, I may do that, but that's not my goal. I'm just kind of making content, and if your views get shifted differently just by how I deliver something, like, that's more on you, because that wasn't like my intention to change your mind. I may just be focusing on a topic and poking fun at that topic. And that's the main focus. But it's just a lot of people are focusing on the drama. And what's really sad about that is, with this new edition that's out, is, man, dude, just like, we're just talking about the book. Like, everyone is just talking about it. No one is playing it. No one is playing it. They're just talking about it. And I'm like getting so fed up just being in this space at the moment. Like, I'll be honest, like, this is the first time where I'm like, I don't know if I'm having fun in this community right now, because almost every creator and their dog are just posting videos talking about the book and how to already fix it before anyone's really playing the game.
Yeah, that.
Sorry.
No, I fully understand your anger, and I will be, to be honest, because it's a little bit of a gun pointed at myself thing here.
Right.
I haven't wanted to fix really anything in the new book, because most of the new book, when I looked through it, I was like, vast majority of the stuff I'm actually okay with. I like almost everything that's going on here. The one thing that I was like, was Ranger, which everybody, of course.
Okay, everyone was.
Yeah, so it was like, But, and that's the one thing where I was like...
One story before, I'm gonna fully cut you off there.
That's okay.
I went to Gen Con and I met Jeremy Crawford. And
nice.
I legitimately went up to him and I went, so, Ranger, bro, what the crap? Is it really that bad? And he laughed. And he was like, we reworked that from the ground up. Again, it may look, I guess we'll have to just see. It may look bad on paper. But who knows? It may do really good in the actual games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like because the thing about Ranger that I always, I don't want to say never liked, but I always was kind of at odds with spellcasting. Yeah. I never felt was right for a Ranger. So recently I made my own Ranger class, and I was like, I've reworked Ranger class. It is no spellcasting anymore. And I'm going through all the subclasses and changing things and doing that. And I'm not trying to like make a better Ranger. I'm just like, if you want to play Ranger that focuses more on like the exploration and combat versus spellcasting, here is an option for you. Beyond that, I'm like, most of this stuff, if I'm going to change anything about it, I want to play it first. I want to sit down at a table, get at least like 4 to 6 sessions with it, and then really see like, okay, now after playing 14 edition for the last 7 years, now I can make an understanding versus just opening book and going, oh, this good, oh, this bad, based off of reading it and not playing it. It's like, so, but I agree with you. We're in this weird, awkward limbo stage where everyone, like, the only like new, fresh content that everybody wants to hop on is the new book that nobody's played yet. It's like, So, and I've been struggling with that as well. My last video I made was just talking about Critical Role, and then after that I was like, I want to make videos that are like important and say something, but I don't know what to talk about yet. It's kind of a weird area.
That's kind of the thing right now is with content creation, especially in the D&D community. Like, we were all so excited for this new book, and then when the embargo got lifted for a lot of creators, almost every creator and their dog again was just spamming posting videos like every day, because it was the hype thing to do. And now that's happened, everything just kind of feels all right.
Now cool. Everyone's patiently waiting. Like, okay, so now the DMG is our next big content wave, and everyone's just kind of in this weird lull until that comes out, which is kind of feels bad. But in that interest, on that topic though, we're talking about videos and everything. So you had these are a little old now, about 1 to 2 years old, but you used to have a couple of these really interesting videos, like building the tallest dice tower and also like giving thousands of dollars worth of free product from your local gaming store. And those were some of the first videos I ever saw of yours, and I was like, this is awesome stuff. But I've noticed more and more every time I would come check out your channel, it's like, it doesn't seem like he's doing that kind of stuff anymore. And I'm just curious if that kind of stuff is ever going to come back, or if it's not, why?
I want to. Listen, I want to, because those were some of the most fun videos I have ever done on this channel. The issue with it is it's expensive.
Yep,
it's very expensive to do. And so it's like I want to do it, and I want to give back to this community, because this community gives and gives, but no one really gives back, in my opinion. Like, what I mean by gives back, it's like, I think a lot of people will look at it and be like, oh, we're giving back, we're giving them, like, you know, homebrew content, and we're giving them like Kickstarters, things like that. It's like, yeah, but what you're doing is you're asking the community for their money to help you support your stuff. And yeah, you're giving them something in return, and that's fine. But it's like, can we just give stuff back to the community as a thank you?
Without the idea of without it being transactional, just with no idea. It was like, I want something in return. Here's this. Just here, be done kind of thing.
Yeah. Right now, it's yes, I want to keep doing that stuff so bad, because it was one of the most fun videos I ever wanted to do, or I have ever done. And so I want to get back to it. It's just I need to get the funds, and unfortunately, I am in how do I put it? Short form stuff like my sketches and whatnot. That's not a good way. I am a part of a community, which is the tabletop community, where sometimes you don't get, you got to get really lucky when it comes to certain videos. And my videos have been doing that on the short form game, which has been great. I love that. But again, short form stuff just doesn't pay well at the moment. And so, but the long form stuff, a lot of the things people gravitate towards is more like players and DMs trying to find ways to make their games better. And I don't really provide that. That's just not me. It's like, hey, I just want to make sketches and make you go ha and, have a good time with that. Yep. Unfortunately, sketches 100% have moved over to like short form comedy. That's just where they reside now. And so my viewership and just the people who go to that and just the, every site, just they don't push that stuff anymore. And so a lot of my revenue just got cut really, really bad because of that. Yep. So hopefully if we find like a better groove and, I'm having a lot of excess money just lying around, like one of the things that I need to do as well is I went to a finance class and it was like, hey, you should really get debt free first and then, start giving out. It's like, all right, dang, you're right. I should do that. So no, I want to. I really, really, really want to start doing that. It's just I need to do it smartly. Yeah. That's the best way I could put it.
If I remember correctly, the one where you gave away a bunch of free stuff at the local gaming store, was that not fully funded by the sponsorship for that video? No. Oh, okay.
That came that came directly from me.
Okay.
So we partnered with a company that was like, hey, your channel's doing well. We want to, give you 5 years of what we project what your revenue is going to be within 5 years from your channel, and we're just going to give that to you now. And I was like, oh, cool. And so they took all of my, I shouldn't say they took, they have licensed all of my videos from 2020 to 2021, I think. And they're like, hey, here's a large sum of money. And I went, cool. This is going to bite my butt in taxes. And so we got our house, which we turned the garage into a studio. And then I went and gave that, like, all that stuff away. And it, like, was 100% worth it because it didn't, like, none of that, all that was tax deductible for me because it was for my channel.
Absolutely.
So it was really, really nice. But yeah, that's when D&D was like really flourishing. That's when a lot of people were coming into the game because again, like COVID and whatnot, just everyone wanted to find ways to play with their friends and hang out, and so that's what people gravitated towards too. And then Hasbro decided to do a hop, skip, and a jump backwards off a cliff and screw everything up.
Yep. Gotcha. Well, okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I was under the assumption, again, from the outside looking in, that video was fully sponsored and everything by or fully funded by that sponsorship. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, well, if you can get sponsorships like that where it's like, we will give you this amount of money, and you're like, great, I will take that and I will immediately do this with it. And then you can usually, from what I've heard, get more money out of it when sponsorships are like, oh, okay, you're going to use our money to give away, which makes us look even better rather than just being paid from it. So they usually will give more in that way. So I was under that impression, but I was very wrong.
It's all right. Yeah, it is that all came from my pocket, and I have no regrets. It was so much fun. We got to meet so many people. Like, people waited hours upon hours to do that. People drove like 4 to 5 hours just to be a part of that, just to say hi to me and grab like some things that probably cost them less than the drive.
Yeah, less than the gas spent to do it. Damn.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that made it so great was it was like getting towards the very end, and I was like starting to apologize to people because it was like 3 or 4 hours later. You know, it was so many people were there. I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry. Like, we got like little to no stuff left. I apologize. And there was this grandpa there, and he goes, oh, don't apologize. I got to spend like 3 hours with my grandson, and it was great. And I was like, frick. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
It's like everything completely worth it now. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I don't feel bad at all. And
Yep.
people, people chose to be there as well. It was like they're getting free stuff. You can't really complain.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you made that video. Like I said, it was one of the first ones I ever came across. I was like, oh, this is awesome stuff. And then I was like, there's very little of this type of stuff. So I was like, I wonder why that happened.
Yeah.
So, but that absolutely makes sense. Financially, it costs a lot of money, and the return is kind of like, So I can fully understand that. I do. Speaking of other types of content you've made that I absolutely love, your food series, some of my favorite stuff you've ever made. Little personal thing. This is my long-term goal. I eventually want to open a restaurant called Tor's Tavern.
Oh, nice.
And I want it to be
nice,
like medieval themed and everything.
Yeah.
Or fantasy medieval themed, not strictly D&D, but just that aesthetic of like a tavern.
Yeah.
And give discounts to people who show up dressed in like Renaissance stuff, and it's a long-term idea. So when I saw your series on this, I was like, oh, brilliant! This is gonna be awesome. If I remember correctly, you don't drink either, which was interesting.
I do not drink.
You and I are in the same in that instance. I also don't drink, but it was very
It
was very interesting to see. I was like, oh, most people I know drink, so it was kind of like, oh, cool, he doesn't drink. But my interesting question I have for you is, what do you remember being your favorite out of all of those D&D foods, and what do you remember being your least favorite? And if it's Yasha's crickets, I will completely understand.
Yeah, yes. Yasha's crickets were the worst, but I'm gonna throw that one out of there because they're just crickets.
Yep, they're just crickets.
I don't feel like that's a good comparison to give, so I'm not gonna do that. I think the worst one that I made good is the problem. I mean, I'd probably the Heroes Feast series and the Elven bread I made because I just butchered that. Like, I killed the yeast, it didn't rise, and it just wasn't bread.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bread, but it wasn't good bread.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that was the worst. What was the best? They were all so good.
They looked good. They looked very enticing.
Yeah. Honestly, just because I'm a sucker for it, the tomato soup in the appetizers video.
Yeah.
So good. Homemade tomato soup is the best.
Yeah, that stuff looked pretty amazing, I will say. Kudos to you.
It tasted amazing.
I've seen
good.
There's been a couple more of those like, fantasy medieval cookbooks that have come out in recent times. Do you plan on covering those as well, or do you feel you've kind of done all you need to with that type of content?
I know people. Okay, so the thing is, I know a lot of people really want to see the cooking stuff back, and I love the cooking stuff. Like, on my off time, I'm cooking all the time. I'm cooking, I'm baking. I just love it. I love doing that stuff. And so the only issue, again, this is where it comes into the the problem of getting the revenue for it. Because we did the like Penguin Random House, they sent me the Exquisite Exandria, which is a great book, love it. We did the videos for it, but the problem was I wasn't getting the revenue back from buying all the food and then also paying my editor to make all of it. And so it wasn't a good return or ROI.
Yeah.
And so when a lot of people are like, "Oh, you need to bring this back," and it's like, well, you gotta look at it as like I'm paying probably around $40 to $50 to get everything, and then a lot of the times I make just so like the food is made for like 4 to 6 people, and there's only me and my wife, and so we got like a large amount of food, and then by the end of it, we're throwing half of it away because we didn't get through all of it before it went bad.
Yeah. Plus the price of ingredients these days is just is way worse.
Yeah, that too. And then like, paying my editor to edit everything as well. It's just like,
yeah,
I want to do so many things, but I got to like, I got to be smart about it now, because that's been an issue of mine. Was I would go like, I would be very spontaneous with certain things, and then it'd put me in the red and I'd be in trouble.
Yep.
But
it's always it's always those types of like, this is the video I really want to make, but it won't make me any money. This is the video that I know I can make and will make lots of money. I'd rather do this, and it's always that.
Exactly. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah. Do you feel that your Patreons can help provide for that, or is it more of just like a really good safety net?
Patreon is a good safety net, and I've been trying to grow it. The problem with the Patreon, especially for someone like me, is a lot of people join Patreons because they will get, especially for TTRPG stuff, the more successful ones that I've seen has been viewers get, homebrew items, or
a product in return.
Like a product in return. And again, it sucks for me because that's not me. I'm not someone who does that. I've tried. People liked it. I do it once and I'm excited, and then I do it again and I hate it. Like, it just feels like work, and it's just like, I don't want to do that again. Like, this is boring.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say it's boring. It's not boring. It just feels tedious at that point. And
there are other things you'd rather be doing.
Oh, 100%. Like, again, I love making videos, and so I've told, people, being like, okay, listen, like, this is what I'm doing. This is what you guys are getting. Like, support or not. It just kind of gets to that point, but it's definitely a safety net, and it's definitely something like I'm trying to build. Mainly, like, I'm trying to build it more where it's like, okay, cool. All the revenue from the Patreon is going directly to my employees. That's why I want to build my Patreon up more and more, is so my employees know every single month they will stay, they will have a job. They're going to be okay.
Yeah. You want the focus to be, you're the only one worried about views and monetization. They shouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it comes to YouTube or Twitch and Facebook and everything, it's like all that revenue goes to me and, funds all of this stuff.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm trying to do. But again, it's really hard in this niche because, again, I feel like I am in a good niche, but I am at like the very bottom tier of like what people look for content in the TTRPG. Like, I'm going to be straight up honest when it comes to that.
That's interesting you say that, because like you're 200,000 away from 1 million, and then you feel like you feel like you're still at the bottom. It's just like, that seems like a different thing. Like, you're in here maybe too much.
Yes, it's probably up there, but if you look at it, I moved all of my short form content from that main channel over to a totally separate channel, because I was I need to make my long form stuff, long form, and I need to look at all the analytics for that, and then all my short form stuff, I need to look at all that and look at the analytics for that. And I'm so happy I did that. Like, I'm so happy I did that. Sometimes it sucks because I know all those views and all those eyes could see like the other stuff we're posting, but that's what those people aren't subscribing for. They're subscribing for the short form content I'm making.
Yep.
And what it was just doing was just inflating the subscriber count where no one was gonna be clicking on it or watching it, like the long form stuff, which was hurting the long form stuff. So
it's surprising.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead. Oh, okay. It's surprising that you say it was hurting the long form stuff, because YouTube has directly come out and said, like, people who watch your short form stuff or subscribe to you because of your short form stuff, it shouldn't have an impact on like your live streams if you do that on the same channel, or your long form content if you do that on the same channel. So again, I'm a tiny channel. I don't have a good enough analytics to really see that, because I upload pretty much all my stuff to my main channel. The only difference is I have a personal channel where I do like my sailing and my flying and stuff like that, is because that has nothing to do with D&D, so I put it on a personal channel. But I'm just like, I have one main channel. It's all fantasy related, mostly D&D. So I put my live stream VODs, my shorts on it, and my main videos all on the one channel, because that's where I want it to go. But it's interesting that you say is like, it hurts the channel, where YouTube says it shouldn't hurt the channel.
The problem is because one of the things YouTube looks at is your click-through rate for your videos. If they see you have a good click-through rate and people are watching and they're staying watching, YouTube's going to push it out. If you are inflating your subscriber count number through shorts and none of those short form people are watching your long form stuff, and YouTube's going to look at that and be like, oh, their click-through rate is pretty low. I'm not really going to push their stuff out because their subscribers aren't even clicking on it.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. Look, so here's my advice. This is something to go watch.
Okay.
Go look at some of the biggest short form creators out there.
Okay.
Go look at their shorts, and then go look at their long form videos and see how drastic their views are between their long form stuff and their short form stuff. It is mind blowing.
I have noticed that, but maybe a bit of a twist on it. The main thing I've noticed, however, is that their short form stuff is very, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but like they have it nailed down. They know what works. They know how to make it very work and everything. And then they will upload a long form video, and it's all over the place for editing, for pacing, for music, for the idea. And it just feels like, okay, from again, outsider looking in, it seems like the reason the long form videos are not working is because they're just not good or practiced at long form, because they do everything in short form, is where it is, to me. That's is what fair. It seems like. But you're going from the standpoint is like, nope, it's because the viewers are the same, and it's just that they're there for short term, so when they see long form content, they'll click on it accidentally maybe and just realize, it's not for me.
Well, there's also, yes, that is one way, and I like your points as well, because some people are very good at telling, short form stuff really quick. Again, remember when Viners were coming over to YouTube, and the Vine people just didn't know how to make long form stuff?
Yes.
That could also be said for the short form stuff. But one of the things that you have to think about as well is their short form content the same as their long form, or is their long form content the same as their short form content? Because a lot of people will be like, hey, I do this for my hey, I do beauty stuff for my short form stuff, and I talk about cars in my long form stuff.
Oh,
and
well, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and you will see a lot of people do that. It's crazy.
Okay.
They'll suddenly be like, oh, this is my one shtick, and then guys, go watch my other video where I'm just reacting to funny videos.
Yeah.
And they don't do well, and they're like, I'm not good. It's like, no, it's because this stuff, like the short form stuff that you're making, does not resemble what you're doing with or your long form stuff does not resemble what people subscribe for with your short form stuff.
Yeah. You opened a bread store and everyone came for bread, and then one day you're like, all right, we're selling leeks now. And why?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why do we need, we're not going to get leaks.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So,
all right. Interesting. Couple differing opinions there. I like that. I do have an interesting question for you. I've asked this a couple of times for other content creators, and their opinions have been very interesting. So, you are suddenly, for one day, made creative head of D&D for WotC. You can do two things. You can change something and it can be whatever you want. It can be completely changed. And you can take something that already exists and lock it in. It can never be changed again. What are the two things?
I would make the Ranger be a subclass, because it just has an identity crisis and it doesn't know what it wants, even though I'm a big Ranger fan.
Okay, interesting. For what class?
Yep. Probably just the fighter.
Okay. Fair enough. I can see that.
Fighter or druid. Because that's pretty much what a Ranger is. I changed that. What I
and the one thing that currently exists that you'd lock in that can never be changed again. We got him on the ropes, chat. He's thinking real hard.
I don't know. I do not know for that one. The only thing I could say I could think about it is just the marketing. The marketing sucks.
Okay. Interesting.
Listen, the only thing that we really do about the Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master's Guide right now is they're like, man, the art in this is beautiful.
You know, that's a fair point.
I was gonna play the game.
That's very true. You know what? That is a big thing they're revolving around, is like the artwork is fantastic. It's like, you know what? Even if it is, this doesn't change how I play the game. That's a fair point.
So anyway, that I would change the marketing and I don't know, have them be more freaking transparent with their community.
Oh, well, that will never happen. Could you imagine?
Hey, you said one thing that I could change.
Oh, you know,
and it
fair.
would stick.
True, fair.
Don't give me that.
I'm gonna walk back on that. That's right. That's true. You are creative head for this one day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Fair enough. Okay, those are interesting choices. Yeah, very interesting choices. I forgot I had this. I didn't write this question down, but it's just come back to me now. Do you find, you're kind of doing it right now, do you find that collaborating with other D&D content creators is something that you want to do more often, or do you just find it stressful? Careful with your words, because you're doing it now.
I know. We're doing it now.
And I say that because I've only seen like one other video. I think it was a Bard video where you collaborated with another person. And since then I was like, I don't see him collaborating all that often.
Do you want to know the honest truth?
I want to know whatever you are willing to share publicly.
Hold on. Yeah? Okay. Give me like 5 more. Is that all right? Put her in a bed. Yeah. Sorry, wife has to start getting going, so I'm gonna.
It's okay. If you
end last question, then I gotta go.
That's perfect. I was gonna say, if you end now, it's the best cliffhanger.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the reason why we haven't been doing a lot of collabs, and we've been wanting to do a bunch of collabs, problem is a lot of we just don't know who to trust in the community right now, because a lot of creators that we've gotten to know and we want to do stuff with, and we're like, yeah, let's do this, or a group of friends, something happens and they get canceled and we're like,
oh,
well, we've dodged a bullet on that one, but oh my gosh, I don't know who to trust anymore. Like that's kind of where it's coming to. And then I went to Gen Con and I met a lot of great creators, like creators who I was like, man, I had such the wrong impression about you, and I'm so glad I finally met you in person, because now like I consider them a good friend. Like it was surprised, like some people where I was just like, man, you're just like, I don't understand what you're trying to do here. Like, well, what's the point? And then I met them, and then they told me their story and whatnot. And it's just like, okay, yeah, cool. And then we found each other, just like following each other everywhere. And so I'm glad about that. But there was like a lot of other people who just, we thought we would vibe pretty well with, and then just didn't. And then that was really rough. And then we'd come to find out that they were just using a bunch of other creators just for their own personal gain, or they were just trying to get in with a community that was, you know, very vulnerable, and they can manipulate that vulnerability. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So it was a lot of just, all right, we're taking a step back. And right now it's just like, hey, I just need to focus on me. I need to focus on my channel, and I need to focus on my own group. I can't focus on anyone else right now, because friends who I'm considering friends are really not that good sometimes. And so so that's just kind of what's been going on as of late. So it has sucked.
No, that's a fair point. That sounds like a very risky environment to be in. I can fully understand where you're coming from on that. So, well, I appreciate you sharing that. It's
No, no
quite
problem.
quite insightful. Well, I won't keep you too long. You've got stuff to do. You've got opportunities and everything. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you hanging out. And yeah, I hope we can. Well, depends. I hope we can sometime do this again in the future. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
hopefully.
Do a follow up and everything. Hopefully, neither one of us get canceled or anything. It's like,
Let's
oh
hope
no.
Take it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming down and swinging by, and I'll talk to you later. Have yourself a good one.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No worries. Bye-bye.